Welcome to the Grow Your Business and Grow Your Wealth podcast with Gary Helt. Gary is an expert in helping business owners put together a plan that will provide a better future for their businesses, themselves, and their families. On the podcast, Gary interviews other professionals who share his vision, and together they share secrets and strategies any business owner can use to build a better financial foundation for your business and your life.
Hey, welcome back to the podcast. This week, my guest is John Mitchell, and he is a success mentor, entrepreneur, and the world's leading authority on applying Think and Grow Rich. After 20 years of earning mid six figures, John discovered how to unlock the full secret behind Napoleon Hill's classic book. Using a 12-minute-a-day technique, he increases his income 25 times and now teaches this proven method at one of the top business schools in the country. Today, John helps entrepreneurs and coaches rewire their thinking to achieve success faster and more consistently. Welcome, John.
Gary, thank you for having me. I think your audience is going to find what we're going to talk about interesting.
Yeah,
but I think some of them will find it life-changing.
I agree with you. But before we get into that, give us your background. Before you had this epiphany, what was John all about? What did John used to do?
Well, I started out like you, a CPA, got to be 30 years old and decided I would prefer to be an entrepreneur. And then in my 30s and 40s, I was in like 7 different businesses. And Gary, when I hit 50, I just wasn't as successful as I thought I should be. And I had 2 goals in my life. One was to make enough money so I didn't have to work. And the other one was to find the woman of my dreams.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, I was falling short on both of them. But on the money, always did pretty well, always made $200,000, $300,000 a year. And I'm sure this was a CPA coming out of me, I realized that if I didn't start netting over $1 million a year, I was never going to have the exceptional life I always dreamed of. As materialistic as that sounds, that's just doing the math. And then on the girl at 50, I'd never been married. Although I got to say, I did a lot of interviewing. Well, I called it interviewing. My friends called it begging, which is probably closer to the truth. But so at 50, I'm like, well, how do I change things? And Gary, probably about 3 months after I turned 50, this pearl of wisdom comes to me. Find the top book in the world on success and apply that book literally word for word to my life. And so I remember jumping out of bed that night and I'm like doing the research, and I discovered something that really sort of blew me away. I discovered that there's one book that's been read by 150 million people, and it's the top book of the world on success by a factor of 10. And that book is Think and Grow Rich, which I bet you've read, right?
Yep.
And so I'm like, this is perfect. I mean, who knew that there was one book above all others on success? So I race out, buy the book, read the book. And then, Gary, I discovered the problem. Book says there's a secret for success, but the author only gives us half of the secret. It's on the reader to figure out the other half. Well, I'm bummed out. I mope around for probably 3 weeks. And then one day I just get up and I go, John, just man up, just figure out the damn secret. And so I immersed myself in the book over 2 to 3 months, probably read it 20 times, and ultimately was blessed to figure out the secret and a 12-minute-a-day technique to apply it. And so I started applying it to a new business I was starting in the reverse mortgage business. And suddenly my income starts doubling and doubling and doubling to where approximately 4 years later, I'm making 25 times the 200 to 300 grand a year I was making the prior 20 years. And Gary, of course, I felt so blessed. But what was particularly cool is I could see exactly why it was happening. I mean, I was playing the game of life at a higher level. I could do things I could never do before. I had a level of control over myself I'd never had before. And I became fascinated that you could take two key scientific principles and apply them to a person's life and so dramatically impact their success. And so about 12 years ago, I finally had enough money so I didn't have to work. And I thought, I'm going to share this with the world. And so I sell my company, and maybe a month or two later, I meet the former chancellor and president here at the University of Texas. And I tell him my story, and he says, hey, you got to teach this at the University of Texas. And why don't we teach it together? And then that led him to introduce me to the athletic director. And the athletic director says, hey, I want to learn this 12-minute a day technique. And so that led to becoming the mental coach for the 18 head coaches here at the University of Texas. And so today I teach my methodology in a course called The Science of Success, The Science of Leveraging Yourself. And I teach it to adults through my book, The Missing Secret. So that's what I do.
So tell us more about, the secret and what was it that I mean, that you found. I mean, because again, there's many of us that have read the book a couple of times, and you know, again, oh, there's this secret. It's like, okay, well,
Right,
somebody's got to tell us what the secret is, because
right,
we're not all of us can spend that kind of time to really sit down and figure it out.
right. Well, and let me ask your audience a question because this sort of sets it up. How do you create success in your life? Just think about that question. How do you create success in your life? And when I'm one on one with someone and I ask that question, I find that most of the time they stammer around for an answer, and and because they've never been really asked that question.
Mhm.
And then I ask them the more pertinent question: do you feel like your results reflect your potential and your intelligence? Well, most of them, virtually everybody, says no, because that's exactly what I felt like at 50. I'm like, why is there more in the tank? Why aren't my results reflecting what I think is my potential and my intelligence? And what I realized is, and what I guess what I want your audience to realize today is that most people are just winging life. They don't have a way of doing life. They just get up and do the best they can. And my guess is they're doing that because nobody actually gave them an actual way of doing life that creates success. Do you think that's probably true?
I agree 100%.
And so, here is the fundamental problem that I grasp that I think is life changing. Your intelligence, intellect, and logic is not directing your actions because 95% of your daily thoughts and actions are unconscious. They're in the moment. They're reactive and they're on autopilot. And since they're unconscious, your conscious mind intelligence is not directing them. And so what is directing them? Well, it's your autopilot. And because we are all innately wired for survival, which causes us to be fear-based and reactive, that's what's driving our daily actions is being
Mhm.
fear-based and reactive. And that is a lousy way to live. And that's why you can only do your key intentions sporadically rather than consistently. But when you can do them consistently, you're playing the game of life at a whole new level. And so that's sort of the essence of what I discovered at 50. And if you want, I'll share with you basically what the secret is.
Yes, please. I think
Okay.
everybody wants to hear that.
So I think the easiest way to explain it is to tell you how I discovered it. And so there I am at 50, not as successful as I think I should be. And there's a little more going on in my life than just feeling the scarcity of time. My mom was dying of pancreatic cancer. And so every day after work, I would go see her in the hospital. And she was in the hospital for like 6 or 8 weeks. And I'd go and I'd hold her hand and love on her and talk to her. And Gary, every day after I'd do that, I'd walk in out in the cold, dark hospital parking lot and cry my eyes out. And I mean, really cry. I mean, like 45 minutes to an hour every night. And I had never experienced that level of emotional upheaval ever in my life. And obviously I'm feeling the impending loss of my mom, but I realized it was much more than that. And I maybe didn't understand it at the moment, but later I saw it, and so what I realized was I felt like I was letting my mom down with my life. My mom and dad gave me everything. They sent me to Jesuit High School in Dallas when they really didn't have the money. They sent me to the University of Texas. I didn't have to pay for a thing. So as my mom is leaving this world, I'm reflective about all the advantages she gave me. And all I had to show for my life at 50 was an average life. And I hated the average life because I just knew I was capable of so much more. And in retrospect, I see that feeling of letting my mom down was like rocket fuel and causing me to go deeper into Think and Grow Rich than anybody else on the planet ever had to figure out the secret. And so does that sort of make sense?
Yeah.
And so I remember one night in particular, this is like 6 or 7 weeks into this. I go see my mom. I go cry my eyes out in the parking lot. And Gary, as I'm driving home, it just felt different. It's snowing in Dallas, which is where I lived. And it doesn't snow very often in Dallas, but I see those big snowflakes hitting my windshield. And so as I'm driving home, it just feels different. But I get home, I plop myself in my nice comfy chair and I start reading Think and Grow Rich. Again, probably the 20th time I'd read it. But this particular night, I read two critical things. The first one, I read that your success in life comes down to your daily actions. The cumulative effect of your daily actions determines your success in each area of your life. Then, I'm like, okay, I buy that. Never thought about it in such simple terms, but okay. And then I read that 95% of your daily actions are unconscious. I'm like, huh, that's interesting. And so now I'm ready to go to bed, and I brush my teeth and wash my face and put my head on the pillow. And as I'm laying there, I just can't stop thinking about what I'd read, that 95% of my daily thoughts and actions are unconscious. And so I'm like, as I'm laying there, I'm like, well, whoa, wait a minute. If my daily actions determine my success and 95% of them are unconscious, then I don't control the very thing that determines my success. And I'm like, whoa, this is a significant moment in my life, because I realized at that point that what was really controlling my daily actions was my subconscious mind, my autopilot. Since they're unconscious, then I don't actually control them, but they're on autopilot. And Gary, I remember the surreal feeling of that. I'm looking now, I'm sitting up in my bed and I'm realizing this is sort of totally eye-opening to me. And I see the glistening snowflakes falling in my backyard. And then I'm like, oh, then I've got to gain control of my autopilot and my subconscious mind if that's what's controlling my actions. And then I start to realize, the reason I haven't been more successful is not from lack of intelligence or drive. It's from having a false belief for 50 years about success. And that false belief was that I controlled my daily actions. And I would dare say that everybody listening to this podcast has that very same false belief that is
Yeah.
holding them back.
Yeah.
And
I
so,
was just getting ready to say with that, John, that many times, I mean, again, because you're right, many of us are reactionary because that's the way we've lived our lives. And because we do what we do, it's just kind of, you get up, you go to work. Yes, you have your daily tasks and things like that, but it's almost wash, rinse, and repeat type thing. So,
right,
it
right.
you're definitely not necessarily thinking about it. It's back there, but you're not bringing it to the forefront for sure.
Right. And once I sort of got that, oh, okay, my lack of success to what I expected of myself is not I'm not smart enough, I'm not driven enough. It's just, I'm not controlling the thing that's determining my success. And that's essentially when the full secret of Think and Grow Rich appeared to me. And here's the full secret. What you envision in detail with emotion on a daily basis is what shows up in your life. And let me say that again. What you envision in detail with emotion on a daily basis is what shows up in your life. And Gary, what that means is you step back from your life and you create immense clarity. Here's exactly the person I want to be, exactly what I want to accomplish, and precisely how I'm going to achieve my clearly defined goals. Then you take that clarity and you put it on a template I created. And actually, the template will help you create the clarity. And then you feed that clarity to yourself every day, every morning, as your new morning routine. And three things then happen. The first thing you experience is immense sense of control over your life. Well, of course you would. You're feeding the succinct articulation of your desired life to yourself each day. Of course you're going to feel control. Then the second thing you experience is confidence, which is directly related to the control. And you also feel de-stressed because the mind thrives on order, and you're creating such order in the mind from feeding the succinct articulation of your desired life that order just de-stresses you. You're not influenced by all the noise on the outside. And then the third thing you experience, and this takes 21 days because it takes 21 days to rewire your autopilot, then the right actions start happening automatically without thinking. And that's the game changer. Um, and so that's essentially how it works.
Now, when you're walking people through this process, um, but I'm sure that there's I'm going to say a lot of naysayers out there that kind of go through these steps and say, "Oh, this isn't working." Because one of the things that I picked up on in you talking about that is you're saying what you envision in detail with emotion.
Right,
And many of us don't want to put that emotion into it. And many of us don't, when you're saying in detail, many of us don't know what that detail looks like.
right, right. Well, let me give you an example. And well, let me give you the foundational science, and then let me give you a very practical example that I think will
Okay.
illuminate this. So the core science is here's how the human mind works, the conscious mind versus the subconscious mind. Conscious mind sets your intentions and is influenced by logic. Subconscious mind controls your daily actions, or 95% of them, and it's only influenced by repetition. And Gary, the example is, let's say you want to lose weight. Well, conscious mind sets the intention to lose weight based on the logic of the health benefits. But the reason people fail to lose weight is obviously not from lack of intention, but more from lack of influencing the part of their brain that's controlling their actions, so specifically their eating and exercising, and that's the subconscious mind. And you can see when you feed the succinct articulation of your desired life to yourself each day, that's the repetition the subconscious mind needs to make the right actions happen automatically without thinking. And I'll show you a very good example of this. It's like in my marriage with Ginger. And so every day Ginge and I get up and get going on our day, and then we reconvene about 6 p.m. for dinner. And keep in mind, every morning, first thing in the morning, I'm reading my 12 minutes a day, and I'm articulating two key things relative to my marriage. First thing is I articulate that I'm flexible, patient, and thoughtful. And I also articulate what that means in our specific relationship. But I also articulate that I am different than my wife, that she does things slow and is people oriented. I do things fast and I'm task oriented. Okay, so off we go on our day. We reconvene at 6 p.m. She's starting to prepare dinner, and she's basically a perfectionist. And so in her world, everything has to be right. The napkins have to be just so. Everything's got to be perfect before the dinner is served. Well, in my world, I'm thinking, and I'm only thinking this, I'm like, babe, serve the food. Your boy's hungry. And let's just move the food from here over to here and let's eat it. And but I'm only thinking that, Gary. And what happens is at the first hint of impatience, an unconscious thought bubbles up to my conscious mind and says, John, here is an opportunity to be patient. You're not going to speed her up. She's going to serve the meal when she serves the meal. There's no sense irritating her. So just keep your mouth shut and be patient. Well, what do I do? Well, I am now patient because instead of that action of being patient being on autopilot, as it would be with most people, from reading my 12-minute a day template, I am now moving it from an unconscious action to a conscious action controlled by my intelligence and intellect. And you can imagine, like in my life GPS template, I got 50 things in the various areas of my life like this that I'm feeding myself. And when you can start doing those 50 things consistently every day, every week, every year, you're just playing this game of life at a higher level, and you can attain much greater things than you can when you're just winging life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. How do you help people build this out? Because like I said, I mean it's even when people talk about reading the affirmations and different things like that, lots of times I think where people get stuck is, okay, I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
where to start. I don't know, in reading something for 12 minutes. I mean, that's a lot of content.
right. Well, excellent question. And you're right. And what I see when I go to people, I say, the the central concept of Think and Grow Rich is create immense clarity about your life and feed it to yourself every day. That's the essence of the secret of Think and Grow Rich. And they're like, oh, yeah, that sounds pretty good. And then they go, oh, I gotta find clarity with regards to the person I want to be, what I want to accomplish in each area of my life, and how I'm going to do it. That's a level of clarity they are not used to. Well, I've been working on that component for 20 years. And so I have now created an AI algorithm where all the person has to do is answer approximately 50 questions, press a button, and 10 seconds later, my template is customized to their unique life. So they don't have to figure out all the aspects of clarity of each area of your life because I've already done it. All they got to do is answer the questions and off we go. It's really pretty slick.
Now, is this, you're teaching this at University of Texas, you're working with the athletic staff and everything there. Is this something that people, I'm going to say the common person that's not part of University of Texas and so forth, are we able to get our hands on this, and how can we do that?
Well, like I said, I created a book that teaches this, and it gives people access to the template. But I think one of the things to mention about this, maybe two things. This works on everyone. It cannot not work. This is pure science, the science of the mind. And so when people go, well, I don't know if this is going to work for me, I'm like, if you're human, it works. And the other thing I would say to them, because it took me 2 years to get my methodology approved by the University of Texas Business School, which I'm honored they let me teach it because it's ranked one of the top 5 business schools in the country, according to U.S. News and World Reports. So it's right up there with Harvard and Stanford. And you can imagine to get something like this approved at a top business school be pretty darn tough. But I think for the listener, this has been vetted at the highest level. So this is not another get rich quick scheme
Right.
in my
Right.
view. Uh, and so, one thing that we might do if you're open for this, can I sort of create the same epiphany in you that I got when I was 50?
Sure.
I have now laid the foundation. So I think we can do this now. So think about this. In your life, Gary, how many epiphanies have you had that have radically changed your life?
Two or three.
Right, right. I think, I've had 4 in my life. Obviously, this was one of them. And so here's the epiphany that I had that I want you to have. The essence of this is 95% of your daily actions are in the moment and unconscious. And since they are unconscious, you need to see that your conscious mind intelligence is not directing your daily actions, yet those daily actions are the very thing that determines your success in life. So, by God, you got to gain control over those key daily actions and make more of them conscious as opposed to leaving them be 95% unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
And so, my question to you, Gary, is do you believe that 95% of your daily actions are unconscious?
I could see where yes.
Right, right. Well, I hear that hesitation because
It
this
just
may
just
be new information to you.
maybe it's, yeah, exactly. That's part of it, new information. But part of it is it 95? Is it 85? Is it 90? I mean, I believe that there is a very large amount of what we do on our daily life is we're on autopilot.
Right, right. Well, let me show you something pretty cool. Let's verify this with Chat GPT. Let's see if she'll cooperate with me. G, are you there?
I'm right here, John. Always ready to jump in. Let me know what you need and we can dive right in.
Okay, so here's my question. I understand that 95% of a person's daily actions are unconscious. Is that really true?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's something a lot of folks talk about. Basically, it's a concept come from neuroscience and psychology. And the idea is that a huge chunk of what we do every day is basically on autopilot. So it's not. Yeah, absolutely. So it's definitely a real concept that a lot of researchers and psychologists talk about. The idea is that a large part of our daily actions really are kind of running on that subconscious or unconscious level. It doesn't mean we're unaware of everything, but a lot of what we do is just habit and routine.
Is it really as high as 95%?
It can definitely sound like a big number, and it does depend on how you measure it, but a lot of experts do suggest that a really high percentage, maybe not exactly 95 to the decimal, is indeed driven by unconscious habits and routines. It's kind of.
Well, as you can see, if you go on Google and you ask Google what percentage is unconscious, it'll show you in big dark letters 95%. And she essentially verifies it, as you can see. So, and it doesn't really matter. Is it 95%? Is it 93? It doesn't matter.
Right.
Vast majority, clearly. And so, and I think this is important because people hear statistics all the time and it sort of goes in one ear out the other. But this is so foundational to your life because I see that what 25x my income was simply understanding how the human mind works and getting it through my thick head that 95% of my daily actions are unconscious. And so, like, if you will, Gary, tell me, what is your morning routine?
Uh, get up, get the make my bed up,
Right?
go downstairs, take my meds and vitamins, depending on what I have going that day, get some exercise in, hop in the shower, and then get into the office.
Right. Well, you're rolling like I used to roll. So, and think about this, and just in being candid, if you had to rate each area of your life, such as how would you rate your health, scale of 1 to 10?
Right now, probably a 4.
Okay. How would you rate your business, your career?
Um, Probably about a 7.
Okay. How about your marriage or romantic relationship?
Not good at all. 3.
Right, right. Well, that's that. Thank you for being candid because that's process that you just went through is what I went through, and boy, I didn't like what I saw, and I'm like, well, I got to do something different, and respectfully, you're not doing anything to impact your mindset, and more specifically your greatest asset, Gary, is your intelligence and intellect. Yet that asset is not directing your actions. And that's the problem. And so, what I hope that you get and your audience gets is that same epiphany that I got at 50 that, oh, I got to gain control over those unconscious daily actions if I want that higher level of success. And and here's a 12-minute a day way to do life as opposed to winging life. And so um, that's the epiphany I want you to get. You think you have now gotten the epiphany?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think then, I guess my next question for you is going to be, it's like, okay, we're, where can we find your book and so forth? But then also, um, everybody wants the easy way out, and to
Right.
me, this is not going to be an easy way out, because we're going to have to, um, because you talk about the emotion and details and things like that. So that's not going to be something that is going to be, something that's going to be quick. It's going to, as you said, it's going to take at least 21 days, because that's what you
Right.
need
Right.
and so forth. So this is not a quick process.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because you are exactly right. And you'll appreciate this. So about 5 or 6 years ago, I decided I'm going to take what I created to the top expert in the world on success, whoever he or she might be. And I ultimately decide that Darren Hardy is that person. So I write a big check. uh, Ginger flies out to La Jolla, California with me, and I met Ginger through applying my methodology at 50. And so the moment comes, and we're sitting down with Darren. We have 3 days with him, but the moment comes, I hand the template to him, I explain how it works, and he looks at it and goes, John, this is really good. But he says people are not going to spend 12 minutes a day on this. And I'm like, how the heck can that be? It 25x my income. Time Magazine did a cover story on the science behind it. And we're applying the central concept of the top book of the world on success to people's lives. What do you mean they're not going to spend 12 minutes a day on it? He says, John, I've been in the success business a long time. And he says, the dirty little secret is that more success is merely a preference for the vast majority of people, for 98% of the people. He says this is only for the 2% who are really driven to success, where more success is a necessity. And Gary, that was so eye opening because prior to that, I thought, well, everybody wants to be more successful. This makes them more successful. It's pure science. This is for everybody. I couldn't have been more wrong. And what ended up happening, and you being a CPA will appreciate this, I'm like, okay, I've been misguided for about 6 years here. um, okay, I'm going to go find people like myself, entrepreneurs that are making 200 grand a year, that want to make 1 million a year, and I would lure them in by giving them a money back guarantee where they had to be making 200 grand at a minimum. But I said, let me take 6 weeks. I'm going to teach you this methodology. I'm going to charge you $20,000. And if I can't double your income within a year, I'll give you your money back. And when you play out the math over 3 years, they'd get about a 35 to 40 to 1 return with a guarantee. And so I start doing that, and it works every time. I never had to give anybody their money back. And I did it for about a year and a half, and I'd document every one of them with a video to document it. But then I realized a very unleveraged way to do it, and that really was what spawned the book, so that I could teach it to way more people
Yeah.
and be leveraged. But the bottom line to your original question is, if you're in the 98%, this is not for you. Don't even pick up the book. This is for the people that are serious about success.
Right, right. So tell us, what's the name of the book?
The Missing Secret of the legendary book, Think and Grow Rich. And I've got a special gift for your audience. If they will go to themissingsecret.org, themissingsecret.org, I have a 9-minute video that explains the secret and the science behind it and shows the template, and it is free. And so get the video and watch it. And then if you like it and want to apply this to your life, buy the book. And through the book, you have access to the template.
Great, great. Just a lot of powerful stuff, John. I do really appreciate your time in going over this with us. Um, kind of, we spent a lot of time here. What have you not told us that we need to know? You're giving us the website
Right,
for us to go look at the video. If we like it, to go ahead and get the book. And again, this isn't for everybody. You've said
right.
that. So it's got to be people that are serious about this and that really want to be able to change their lives with this. What else do we need to know?
Well, here's maybe the last thing I'd say is I realized at 50 that I had to get an edge in life, something that gave me an advantage. Because if I didn't get something that gave me an advantage, I was going to get the average life. And like I said, I hated the average life. Now, some people may not hate the average life, which more power to them. But my life experience has taught me you got to have something that gives you an edge in life. And this is it, in my opinion.
Right, right. So, well, John, I really, really appreciate your time today. Really enjoyed our conversation. And I'm looking forward to watching your video and reading your book.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for having me on. I'm honored.
Sure. Great. I really appreciate it. Hey, today my guest was John Mitchell, and he is the Missing Secret. Make sure you go on to his website, themissingsecret.org, and check out the 9-minute video and see if this is for you and for you to be able to take that next step. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next week.